Good evening, good morning, and good night. Welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host, Shauna, and I'm here. Let's get into it. So today we're going to be talking about alignment. Now, you can define being aligned like in the literal sense or in the spiritual sense, right? So a lot of people, scholars, researchers, philosophers, people who come from different walks of life and spiritual backgrounds believe that there are multiple versions of ourselves in other dimensions. Now, usually we start the podcast out with the definition, so I'm going to go into the definition of alignment before we go on with the conversation. So there were actually multiple definitions, so I'm going to go into the physical meaning of it and then the spiritual meaning of to be aligned. So alignment is defined as arrangements in a straight line or in correct or appropriate relative position, right? Or, this is the second definition, a position of agreement or alliance to be brought into line or proper arrangement, right? Now, the spiritual meaning, because the second one kind of makes sense. I mean, when you think of our spirits and our spirit's growth and our advancement in the spirit, right? To be brought into line or proper arrangement, an agreement or alliance, right? We'll get back to that. I'm just repeating it so we can be clear on what it means to be aligned. The spiritual definition involves recognizing your source beyond your mind through meditation. Now, we know meditation can be sleeping, it can be praying, it can actually be fasting. When you meditate, there are certain organs and processes throughout your body that occur. And one of those things is the frontal lobe, the prefrontal lobe of your mind tends to shut down but open up at the same time. Now, this happens when you sleep, when you pray, when you meditate, when you're just sitting in silence, right? Because that's essentially what meditation can be defined as, to sit in silence and not think and allow your spirit and your mind to roam freely, right? Now, I think this is important is because we're coming into a time where it's really hard for us to have an understanding of our purpose and what it is we should be doing in this time. And I'm just going to say that your alignment has a lot to do with time, right? A lot of people, when they think of alignment, they think of the cosmos, they think of their horoscope, they think of religion, they think of what it is that's going on in the ethers as far as the horoscopes and everything, and the signs and the moon, the elements and the planets are concerned. But I'm speaking in terms of your spiritual growth, your spiritual, how do you conceptualize things spiritually, right? Essentially, that's what I'm hinting at. And this is important because we're in a time and a space right now where time kind of means nothing. I mean, I don't know if you guys agree, but the earth that we're living in is going through a cleanse that I've never seen it go through. I mean, I'm 30 something. I'm pretty sure our elders have an idea of what's happening more than us, but they probably don't care to share. It's probably up to us to learn about these things on our own and through our own experiences. So I want you guys to think of alignment as timing, right? And your purpose here and what it is that's going on in the cosmos that's relative to you and your spiritual growth, right? What does that mean? I'll tell you. Alignment. You were born at a certain time in a certain place, specifically for the alignment of your soul, of your spirit. in connection to everything around you. So you were born today. Say you're born today. And they say the stars have aligned for X, Y, and Z to occur, right? Now let's take this a step further. Consider alignment as a time frame, right? When you think of alignment, you should be thinking of time. You should be thinking of yourself within that time, like a timeline, and how it relates to the world around you. So if you know that you have certain things that require you to be able to accomplish certain things, and you know you have to do them in a certain time frame, you have to ask yourself, am I in alignment? And I'm just scratching the surface. I'm not going into the deeper part because like I told you guys, whatever it is that we're discussing, I'm going to go back over it, and it's going to be more detailed. And excuse me for the noise in the background today because I'm in a different place. I'm in a different space, but as promised, we have to push this thing out. So no matter where I am and what's going on, we're going to make sure this podcast is getting done at 12 o'clock on Sundays, right? So I'm just keeping my word. I'm staying consistent. I could not record because I wasn't where I'm usually am on Sundays at 12 o'clock, right? So excuse me for the noise, okay? But it might be appropriate, if you can tap in and listen to what's being played and what's being done. It's a lot of cleaning, a lot of movement, a lot of old school rap from the 90s. So just let it be, let it be what it is. If it's too much for you, please log off. I apologize for not being present with you in the moment. Okay. So yeah. Now, back to this alignment thing. A lot of people believe that there are different versions of yourself in different dimensions, right? And this is actually the deeper portion that I wasn't going to go into, but I kind of have to just to give you guys an idea of where this is coming from, right? So if there are different versions of yourself in other dimensions, right? How do you know, or what does it mean? I'm sorry, I'm gonna rephrase that. What does it mean to fully align yourself, right? So that means that you are in agreement or in alliance, right, with the arrangement of you across all those time zones. Now, a lot of people don't believe that there are other versions of themselves in other dimensions. So this may not be the conversation for you. I mean, for multiple reasons, but I'm going to say in the sense that you exist in other places, but because you can't see it and you don't physically feel it, it doesn't make sense to you, right? And you can't picture it. And you may very well not be in other places at other times. So again, this conversation may not be appealing to you because you are not in agreement or you have no proof of this, right? I understand. Let me make it make sense for you. Sleep is the cousin of death, right? So when you go to sleep, your spirit leaves your flesh. That is technically you in another realm, in another dimension. You have absolutely no control over it. You have no wherewithal to understanding what these dreams mean sometime, unless you're a dream interpreter, unless you have been given the gift of spiritual discernment, and unless you don't dream or you in fact control your dreams, because sometimes we do set the tones for our dreams. Some people are powerful enough and in tune enough and aware of themselves enough to create the narrative over their dreams, right? But let's just look at this from a different perspective for a second. If you go to sleep and a version of yourself has been assigned to another dimension. How do you know that? How do you tap into that? A lot of us have deja vu, right? So that's one system or way of being fully aware, of this particular phenomenon. You have a portion of yourself that exists in another realm somewhere, and you have no contact with this person other than aligning with your spiritual self in this moment. What that means is who you are in the ethers or on another planet or in another timeline, you can possibly align with them. Now, how you do that, that's something you have to go about. We all have a different journey for our soul, right? Our souls have different journeys. So I cannot tell you how to reach the ultimate growth of your soul. That is for you to go on that journey and determine what's required for you to ascend in the healthiest way you know possible. What I am bringing to your attention is that the only way that can be successfully done is to align with yourself in those other dimensions, those other timelines. Those other timelines of you exist, and I'm sure your journey in who you are has a different goal in each dimension, in each realm. So the spiritual world is not what we want it to be. It's what we need it to be in order to grow spiritually. Now, all of us have our own different understandings, and we reach that goal different ways. Some people resort to religion. Some people resort to spirituality. Some people just follow the signs around them. Some people are told what to do. So there's different ways to find out, how to access these different portions of ourselves. But the thing is, because we haven't physically seen that, it may be harder to grasp, the idea of you existing somewhere else. Like someone with your face, with your spirit, with your heart, with your mind, with your body, somewhere else. At this point in time, there is another version of yourself somewhere. It may be a parent. It may not be a parent. It may not share your siblings or your parents. The only thing that connects you to that other self is your consciousness, right? So you have to find a way to align everything about yourself in this waking life with who you are going to be, who you are stepping into, and who you were ultimately meant to be. So, in the interim, I think it's important for us to have a better idea of who we are outside of clothes, outside of money, outside of music, outside of our family, outside of our religions, right? Because each of those things tells us who we are inadvertently, and it gives us an idea of how to operate. If you don't have an idea of who those people are, ultimately, you lose pieces of yourself. So that is also another component of it, knowing what it is that you come from and why you're here at this time. Again, this is something that you have to look into for yourself, because we all come from different star systems. So I'm sure we all have different reasons why we've been placed here at this time. So I don't have an answer for you on how to directly align with yourself. I can give you tips, which the first one would be to consciously act out everything. Everything you do needs to be done from a conscious state. And I would say you do that by putting God first. What is it that you need to be doing to successfully complete this task? How do you know you've aligned with yourself? That is a conversation for later, because we're going to go into time, and we're going to discuss time as it relates to ourselves and aligning with ourselves across these dimensions. And I'm going to bring it back full circle. I'm going to actually have to probably make this a part 1, because this topic is not one of those things that allows us to have that understanding right off the bat, right? So this is something that requires your time and your efforts to gain clarity on. There's no way I can tell you your purpose unless I have the gift of being able to do that. Like, unless God gave that to me, right? So ultimately, it's your job to figure that out. I'm going to start wrapping this up. We're at 16 minutes. I don't want to hold you guys too long. It's Sunday. I hope you are enjoying your Sunday and whatnot. I'm going to let you guys go, but I wanted to, like I said, I told you guys the Most High gives me these topics throughout the week, and then I ask him, and he gives it to me throughout the week leading up until the day, the day of, and then he's like, yeah, this is the topic. So I knew that alignment was the topic, and I knew that this is something I had to talk about, but this topic is so deep because it's so relative to time. So yeah, that's why I'm gonna use this, and I'm gonna piggyback off of it because it's a very deep topic. But in a nutshell, I thank you guys for listening, for tuning in. I thank you guys for stopping by. I hope you guys are enjoying your Sundays. I hope your weekends went well, and I hope the week coming up is good for you. Yeah, stay safe. Stay well. It's all connected, okay? Everything is all connected. We are all connected. And I'm gonna leave you guys with some light and some love. Peace.